He wears innumerable caps. And I don't know how many of you knows, but served as one of the secretaries of this Bar Association in 1994, for which we have to come. As a lawyer, Honorable Justice L. Nageshwar Rao has taken up a very high-profile cases across the country. A man of simplicity, with a high thinking, and with a high regard to the bench and bar. Friends, we had a discussion with the bar and with the learned Advocate General that somewhere we have to start this series of lectures. Immediately responded the learned Advocate General, let us will start and we'll begin. And that is how the moment we had a word with Justice L. Nageshwar Rao, immediately, gracefully, readily accepted that I'll definitely come to the Bar Association and I'll express my lecture, what is he has done. And also said, any help to the bar to enrich the lawyers, more particularly young lawyers, is readily accepted to give all kinds of help, including the resources, how to develop the skills, how to proceed. This is what we had. So far as come as a judge of the Honorable Supreme Court, you all know that once in 2014, if I think, nobody, when someone offers to become a judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Nageshwar Rao has denied for that. Of course, after 2 years, it has again made him to compel him to accept to become the judge of the Supreme Court. We all know we have a number of judgments across, we'll see in the libraries, in bookshelves. But only some judgments which will touch in the hearts of the people. Likewise, the Honorable Justice L. Nageshwar Rao judgments are there, which are very, very landmark judgments, which we all have to read. I hope that before you come, you might have already seen it. One of the best judgments which rendered a landmark judgment on 18th of May 2022 Perivaralan judgment. This judgment is precisely, we can say that it is to protect the right to life and personal liberty of the citizen, which is a very precious one. Even governors, state executive cannot take away. That is one of the judgments. Because I don't want to take much time now. It's the time because when we talk about the stream, the fountain is before us. So we need not talk about that much more. Therefore, I request before the lecture or a speech by the Honorable Justice L. Nageshwar Rao, I request to have a few words by Justice Advocate General B.S. Prasad. Few words. Just 2 words.
My Lords, Honorable Justice L. Nageshwar Rao Garu, my Lords, the Honorable Chief Justice Sri Ujjal Bhuyan Garu, the President of our association, Mr. Raghunath, the Honorable Judges of this court, all the lawyers who are present and who are also watching. My Lords, we have in fact organized, your Lordships, this wonderful lecture which is going to benefit all the fraternity in our state and also wherever the lawyers who are interested in your Lordship's speeches and lectures. My Lords, I sincerely thank a lot, my Lord the Honorable Chief Justice, our Chief Justice Sri Ujjal Bhuyan Garu, when we mooted to have these types of lectures for the benefit of the members of the bar. My Lord the Honorable Chief Justice readily agreed, and in fact he has encouraged us to start this activity, and I wish the association should, on a continuous basis, like CME programs conducted by in the medical field, let us have this continuous legal education for the members, for the benefit of the members of our bar. And since we are waiting for the lecture of the Honorable Justice L. Nageshwar Rao Garu, I request all of my friends, even the President, let us spare more time for the Honorable Justice L. Nageshwara Garu's lecture. And with this, I request all the members who are present, members of the bar, to note each and every word of Justice Honorable L. Nageshwara Rao in their minds, and also wherever is required to note that, so that that will help us in a long way, and that will certainly help the members of this bar in the matter of the development and the progression of law, and also they can be well assisting the courts. With this, I thank one and all who are present here. Thank you so much.
A few words by the Honorable Chief Justice Ujjal Bayan to take mic.
Respected Justice Nageshwara Rao, my esteemed colleagues on the bench, President of the Advocates Association, office bearers, Chairman Bar Council, senior advocates, and members of the bar. I have been put in a very difficult situation because we all know we have assembled here to listen to Justice Nageshwara Rao, so I should not stand in between. But nonetheless, the persona of Justice Nageshwara Rao is such that I have to say something, and when I thought that I would write down something and speak, my PS had to say, sir, I think we need to stop here because people have come basically to listen to Justice Nageshwara Rao. Friends, I congratulate the Mr. Raghunath and the Learned Advocate General for taking this initiative, for having this speech, a series of lectures. And who can be a better choice as the inaugural speaker of the lecture series than Justice Nageshwara Rao? Justice Rao represents the best in the bar and on the bench. And he is the most appropriate person who has the perspective from the bar as well as from the bench. Personally speaking, as a young lawyer, I had the good fortune of watching Justice Nageshwara Rao, then an advocate, arguing in the Guwahati High Court. It was the way Justice Nageshwara Rao had argued the cases. Those who were present and those who had come to listen to his arguments, during those days, they were unanimous in the view that here is a great jurist in the making. So from those days, we have watched as Justice Nageshwara Rao, from one step to the other, he has progressed. He was designated as a senior counsel and later on served as the additional Solicitor General of India on 2 occasions. He was also part of the Justice Mukul Mudgal committee constituted by the Supreme Court of India to look into the affairs of the IPL. As pointed out by the President, we are told that in the year 2014, the then Chief Justice of India, Justice R.M. Lodha, had offered judgeship to Justice Nageshwara Rao. But he had declined. We don't know the reasons. But later again, after 2 years, the then collegium led by Chief Justice T.S. Thakur offered judgeship again to Justice Nageshwara Rao, and this time he accepted. And on 13th May 2016, Justice Nageshwara Rao was appointed to the bench of the Supreme Court. And he is the seventh judge in the Supreme Court appointed directly from the bar. He retired on 7 June 2022. During his tenure of slightly more than 6 years as a judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Nageshwara Rao was part of the bench in 747 judgments, and he himself authored 222 judgments of great significance and jurisprudential value. As a presiding judge, he was known for his liberal interpretation of the Constitution and in defense of the basic structure of the Constitution in letter and spirit. In 2017, Justice Rao was part of the 7-judge Constitution bench in Abhiram Singh's case, which held that appealing to the ascriptive identities of a candidate or voter would amount to a corrupt practice under section 123(3) of the Representation of People's Act. Again in 2017, in the case of Krishna Kumar Singh versus State of Bihar, Justice Rao was part of the 7-judge Constitution bench which held that re-promulgation of ordinances is unconstitutional, rather a fraud on the Constitution. In March 2020, Justice Rao authored a landmark judgment in Indian Social Action Forum versus Union of India, holding that support to public causes by resorting to legitimate means of dissent could not deprive an organization of its legitimate right of receiving foreign contributions under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010. The bench led by Justice Rao during the COVID-induced national lockdown in 2020 directed the state governments to ensure that dry ration was provided to the sex workers without insisting on any proof of identification. In the same judgment, Justice Rao issued a slew of directions concerning rehabilitation measures of sex workers, including that basic protection of human decency and dignity extends to sex workers and their children. Justice Rao was also part of the special bench on COVID-19 management in the country that observed that policy of the central government as to paid vaccinations for persons in the age group of 18 to 44 was arbitrary and irrational. Because of this judgment, the government was compelled to review its making vaccinations free for all. Justice Rao also headed the bench which suo motu heard a case concerning orphan children in the aftermath